abazize ubwoko mutanze, akarere, ishyaka cyangwa isura. Hari n'abaziraga umutungo, u Rwanda rwacu rwaraguwe. Abanyamahanga urabuye bari baje bakangata, n'intwaro nyinshi zitabaye, nyamara mwahotowe bareba, habura baje bimwe bigayitse. Twarabakundaga turababura, ikibi cyanyu tuzacyusa, bana b'u Rwanda tuzahora iteka turibuka. Intango y'ishyano yabaye urupfu, bene Rwanda bapfa bahagaze, gucura inkumbi biba nk'umurimo, abashakanye baratemana, abana bicwa n'abababyara. Twarapfushije abanyabwenge, imanzi zitangiraga abandi, abasaza buje inama, n'ababakecuru b'impanuro, barapfuye n'abari mu nda. Twarabakundaga turababura, ikibi cyanyu tuzacyusa, bana b'u Rwanda tuzahora iteka turibuka. Y'amajyambere yarasiriwe, y'amashuri n'ay'amavuriro, nta n'uwabivuga ngo abiheze. Icyabishe nticyarutse, u Rwanda rwacu ruteze amaboko, uturugarurire irashoka.
All of protocol observed. On behalf of people of Golo, let me welcome you to our village and send my sincere greetings to you all. Golo is 10 kilometers from the main road, and we are mainly dealing in fishing, crop farming, and poultry. Let me take this opportunity to thank our landlord, Mr. Mohammed Boban, for the sense of humanity and the godly love you have for people of Golo. May God reward you with a complete life. Let me take this opportunity to thank the government of Uganda for having successfully ended the elections and for the good governance of our country. God gave us President Museveni for a reason. Please keep him alive. I thank the community of Rwanda for the continuous commemoration of our dear ones who are resting here. And I thank the government of the Republic of Rwanda mainly the President Paul Kagame, for the good governance, and I call upon people of Rwanda to keep Mr. Paulo sparingly, such that we can get more fruits from him. Good leaders are scarce and are born few. Spare him for the better of Rwanda, Uganda, and East Africa at large. For the diseased, the food for the sorrow is prayers. May Lord rest their sorrow in eternal peace. I wish you a good stay in Golo. Enjoy the fresh air of Lake Victoria. When time comes for going back, may you reach safely. A good day.
Next, the remarks from the representative of Four Ways, Mr. Mahmoud Thobani. Thobani is a treasure to the memory of our country. Mr. Thobani labored so much to have what we have here today. He's given a part of him to the healing process of Rwanda. Our hearts will always be grateful to you, Mr. Thobani, for ensuring that this place becomes a permanent home for our people. Thank you.
Everyone. The chief guest, Honorable Alice Kaboyo, His Excellency, the High Commission of Rwanda in Uganda, His Excellency, Colonel Joseph Rutabana and family, High Commissioners and Ambassadors of respective countries, religious leaders, representatives from the government of Rwanda, delegation from Rwanda, Humula Association led by Mr. Bosco Nugumwe, officials from the Rwanda High Commission in Uganda, the RDC of PG District, the area MP, religious leaders, the chairman LC5, the chairman LC3, the chairman LC1, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you all here once again, wholeheartedly on this occasion, to commemorate the 32nd anniversary of the genocide which took place in Rwanda against the Tutsi in 1994. When the genocide happened in Rwanda in 1994, hundreds of victims were dumped in the river Kagera in Rwanda. These 10,982 bodies landed in Uganda, and it is our obligation on every Memorial Day to talk about the background of how these victims were buried at these landing sites. Let me also take this opportunity to give you a little background of this place and other two sites where the victims were buried here in Uganda. After the bodies came through River Kagera in Rwanda, they landed in different landing sites of Lake Victoria in Uganda, such as Kasensero, Dimo, Malembo, Namirembe, Lambu, and other small landing sites in Uganda. After some time, government of Rwanda decided to reduce the burial sites from 6 to 3 for easy management and proper care. Therefore, it was agreed jointly and decided that the 1,618 victims buried in Namirembe be moved to Lambu, where originally 1,718 were buried, making a total of 3,336 in Lambu, then 2,149 from Dimo, and 1,667 from Malembo be exhumed to this site of Golo, where 955 were originally buried, making a total victims buried here at this site 4,771. In addition to 2,875 buried in Kasensero, the total number of victims buried in Uganda is 10,982. It took us almost 1.5 years of planning, making arrangements to exhume victims from 3 of the previous sites to 3 current sites as mentioned above, because many things had to be taken into consideration, which with God's grace we have successfully done. 32 years since this incident took place, we must reflect on all the events that took place and tell our offsprings of what happened and how we have walked through this difficult time for them to continuously commemorate and condemn genocide. Uganda was so fortunate that the Rwanda government agreed and allowed to have these memorial sites here instead of relocating them to Rwanda, which has become a unifying factor between the two countries. A lot of development is going on in the country, which is going to greatly impact on the whole of Uganda, including this area. Tourism is given a very big priority amidst other local infrastructure. In addition, the government of Uganda is constructing an army museum on 600 acres near the main road at the entrance point which leads to the memorial site. This is a memorial site where we are, which will attract influx of visitors and tourists, making this place a very important spot for tourists to come and pay homage to people buried here in Golo. We pray for the victims all around the world, that may their souls rest in eternal peace.
You may not understand it fully, but you are part and parcel of the recovery process of the country of Rwanda. You have demonstrated truly that humanity, there's still hope. There's still hope for humanity, and humanity will never die. We are forever grateful. Now, the next item is the testimony by a survivor who is with us here. Is from Rwanda. We are lucky to have him with us, a survivor of the atrocities, and we request the interpreter they came along with to come and help us in translation.
Murakoze nyakubahwa mushyitsi mukuru kutugenera uyu mwanya muri gahunda yo kwibuka ku nshuro ya 32 Abatutsi bazize Jenoside yakorewe mu Rwanda muri 1994. Biba byiza iyo ntanze ubuhamya hari urubyiruko kandi narubonye. Biba byiza iyo ntanze ubuhamya hari inshuti z'u Rwanda kandi nazibonye. Impamvu yabyo ni uko arimo bakunda gusoma, kubera ko Jenoside ishingiye ku kinyoma, bakagendera muri uwo mujyo bakabura ubabwiza ukuri.
Thank you, guest of honor, for honoring this moment of commemorating the Tutsis killed during the genocide in Rwanda in 1994. I appreciate having the youth around, as well as the friends of Rwanda when I give my testimony, because they read and consume history, and therefore they have misleading information. So I'm appreciate having them here so that they can hear the truth.
Nitwa Kabega Jean Marie Vianney, ariko hari n'abanyita Kazungu kandi naryo simbyanga kuko ndimana ngiye kinini. Mvukira ahantu hatangiriye Jenoside mu Rwanda, imisozi ya Ndiza, hahoze hitwa komini Nyabikenke. Impamvu mvuga ibyo nuko ubwo sushefu wo kundiza yari mbonye umutwa Dominico mu 1959 nibwo Abahutu bateye mu rugo kwa Gashagaza ku itariki ya 3 z'ukwa 11 muri 1959 bica Umututsi wa mbere. Bahicira witwa Butwatwa Felisi wari umucamanza n'abandi babiri, cyakora shefu Gashagaza bashakaga wabasha guhungira kuri paruwasi ya Kanyanza.
The names are Gashagaza, and the testimony begins in 1959. So I'm here to testify how the genocide against the Tutsi really started in Rwanda, because it started in the hills where I come from. In 1959, on the 3rd of November 1959, my family was attacked, hunting Tutsis in my family, and the first Tutsi was killed then.
Aho rero niho ikinyoma cya mbere gitangirira, ngira ngo babandi navugaga bajye babyumva nk'ukuri. Icyo gihe uwari sushefu yari yagiye mu by'Imana aho yavukaga, ajya no gusura umwana we ku ishuri, ngo arwanirayo n'abantu, barangije baravuga ngo bamukubise urushyi mu by'Imana rwumvikanira ku Ndiza, ni ahantu hari ibirometero birenga 100. Icyo nicyo kinyoma cya mbere. Icya kabiri nacyo ndaza kukibabwira ku gihe cya Habyarimana.
So that's where the first lie comes from. During that time, the chief who was hunted for killing supposedly had engaged in a fight which is said to have echoed kilometers away, while all this was a lie. He had gone to visit his child at school, and there was a struggle, a quarrel at the school, but then it turned into a lie that he had fought on the street and the fight had echoed miles away. So the killings happening actually far away from where he had gone to visit the child.
Ikiro ni cyerekana ko Jenoside itegurwa igihe kinini, ahubwo igihe cyo kwishyira mu bikorwa hagashakwa urwitwazo. Kuko icyo gihe batangira kwica Abatutsi, mbonye umutware atarava iwabo mu by'Imana, bari babwiwe nande ko yakubitiweyo. Icyo ni ikinyoma cya mbere. Hanyuma ibyo birarangiye, Abatutsi barishwe icyo gihe, abandi baratwikiwe, abandi barahunze. Repubulika ijyaho nk'uko bavuga ko ari revolution y'Abahutu, ijyaho nayo ikomeza kwica abantu, ntibyarangira, haba kudeta, hajyaho leta ya kabiri ya Habyarimana, noneho iza ari rurangiza.
So the so-called fight, which was not actually true, triggered into a fight, a killing of Tutsis in different places surrounding Ndiza, where I come from, and because it turned into what was called the revolution of Hutus, which led to more killings throughout the country until the coup d'etat in 1973 when Habyarimana took over.
Impamvu uvuga ko yari rurangiza nuko yahereye ku bana b'Abatutsi akababuza amashuri, akababuza kwiga, akajya ku babyeyi babo akababuza akazi, akababuza uburyo, tugakurura mu yicorubozo kugera baturimbura bya burundu muri 1994.
So I call this phase an excessive phase of the genocide because Habyarimana, from when he took power, he first discriminated against Tutsis from young ones, excluded them from school, oppressed Tutsis wherever they were, and this led to the final phase of the genocide.
Ibyo mbihera kuri nje bwite kuko ntangira amashuri ibyo byo kuba ndi umututsi sinari mbizi ariko nabimenye aho bamburije kwiga ngeze mu wa munani banga ko njya muri secondaire kubera politike y'iringaniza icyo gihe ntihari ukwiga uwatsinze hari ukwiga uwemerewe.
So I say this from my own experience. When I finished primary school, I was excluded from secondary school. I was denied actually access to secondary school just because I was a Tutsi.
Maze kwangirwa kwiga muri secondaire kandi ntaratsinzwe haje n'umuntu wari umuvandimwe anjyana i Kigali kuri ministeri kunsabira gusibira mu wa munani ntabwo ari ukujya muri secondaire gusibira mu wa munani nibonanira na Ministre Nsekarija Aloyize arabinyima ku mugaragaro andangira kujya kwiga muri Serayi.
A family member took me to Kigali, the capital city, to meet with the minister himself so that he can give me access to education. So he pleaded for me so that I can have access to secondary school, but the minister denied it in my eyes, saying that I should go to a vocational training.
Serayi nagenda yiga ndabyemera aho nyisoreje haboneka akazi muri commune k'umuntu ushinzwe amakawa babitega managri logistique ako kazi ndakamenya kuko itangazo ryari ryaciye mu kiliziya ndagapiganirwa barakanyima bakampa nkapiganiwe inshuro enye kuko bari babuze ubundi muntu wagatsindira.
I took the offer from the minister and went to the vocational training. When I graduated, an offer for a job came up in my district, and I applied. 4 times I was denied, and later I was accepted for that position to do with logistics for coffee management.
Kukabona rero byambereye ikibazo gikomeye kubera ko n'ubundi aho igihe cyari kigeze imyiteguro ya Jenoside yari igeze kure kuko hari mu 1993 icyo gihe rero nari ngiye ku gipimo nyirizina.
But things became worse because the time I got this job was in 1993 and genocide preparation was far advanced. So I became a good target because I was put up in a job where I'm easily accessible.
Mu gihe gito cyane indege yoro umukuru w'igihugu Habyarimana Juvenal yaraguye nawe apfiramo hanyuma tukagira rero muri Nyabikenke aho ngaho inzitizi ikomeye. Twari dufite ministre mubi cyane witwaga Nzabonimana Karisti.
So a year later, the plane of the then President Habyarimana got shot, and things were really, really terrible in my area as we had an extremist minister called Nzabonimana Karisti.
Nzabonimana Karisti yarashinzwe autodefense civile muri Gitarama cyangwa coordinateur w'ubwicanyi mu cyari Gitarama. Hakaba Nyabikenke yongeye ivukamo umugore wa Colonel Bagosora, ikavukamo umugore wa Mugesera Lewo, ikavukamo umugore wa Kamuhanda Jean Dodier. Abo bose ni abaplan ba Jenoside.
So Nzabonimana was responsible for what they called civil defense, which was called the coordination of the killing of Tutsis actually. But he was not alone because in the same district, 3 wives of prominent genocide killers were born from the same district.
Urumva rero byari byoroshye ko aho ngaho Jenoside igomba kubatangirira nyirizina muri Gitarama. Nibwo Karisti yaje rero mu matariki ya nyuma gato yaho indege yanukiye asanga abantu iwacu kuri centre arababwira ati ese mwamenye ibyago u Rwanda rwagize. Bati twarabyumvize ko umukuru w'igihugu yapfuye. Bato ntabwo yapfuye yishwe n'Abatutsi.
So the minister went to the district and called upon the population and said, did you know the bad news that happened to Rwanda? And they said, yeah, the president of Rwanda died. And he said, no, he did not die. He was killed by Tutsis.
yari afite minibisi imuherekeje irimo abasore b'interahamwe, aragenda akuramo udushoka aduha abaturage, abagurira n'inzoga nyinshi, arababwira ati ngiye mu rugo n'ingaruka nkasanga nibura hano hari intumbi ebyiri z'abatutsi, ndabaha n'izindi nzoga.
He had come with a minivan full of young killers, young perpetrators of the genocide, and young militia. And he said he brought them out of the car, and then they had small hoes and other killing weapons. And he said he gave these killers alcohol, beer, to drink, and he said, I am going. When I come back, I want to see at least 2 bodies of Tutsis. Then I will give you more to drink.
Yaragiye ageze iwabo asanga abantu batangiye kugira ubwoba, abagabo n'abasore n'inka babihungishije kuri komine, abagore n'abana bagiye kuri paruwasi yitwa Ntarabana. Kuri 12 z'ukwa kane bose atanga itegeko ko babaroha muri Nyabarongo, ari rero mpamvu nyamukuru uretse ko hari n'izindi zituma twisanga twaje kwibukira hano.
So when the Tutsis became aware of his plan, they got scared and all went to the district headquarters with their cows and the families. But women and children went to the Catholic parish in the area, which is called Ntarabana. And on April 12, he ordered that all those Tutsis be thrown in the river.
Amaze kurohesha abo bantu mu ruzi barenga 300, yabonye ko ubwicanyi nta mbaraga bufite, ashinga ibyo umuntu yakwita nka gishe kuri Nyabarongo ku myaro. Noneho umuntu akagenda agahiga abatutsi akabageza kuri Nyabarongo, akabamurika akaberekana, bakamubarira, bakamuha amafaranga, bakaroha muri Nyabarongo.
After ordering more than 300 Tutsis to be thrown in the river, he wasn't satisfied. So he created stations along the river and called for anyone who find a Tutsi to bring them to the river, to one of the stations, so that the Tutsis are received, thrown into the river, and the person gets rewarded.
Ibyo biri mu kintu gikomeye gituma iwacu Nyabikenke nta kajoriti ya Jenoside ihaba, kuko wahuye n'abahutu wese baramwishe, nta numwe wabona wasanga yarakomeretse nk'uko tubona abandi utubona ahandi hantu, ho ntibibaho, uwahuye nabo wese yarapfuye.
So while we see people who got injured during the genocide but did not die in other places, it's not the case where I come from, because they made sure any Tutsi they find actually kill them to death. And the rewarding was money for those people who brought them.
Nabonye bikomeye, negera umugabo umwe twajyaga dusangira nkikora ku kazi, arambwira ati byakomeye buri aha ngaha gatoya turebe ibyo byerekera, ariko mu minsi nk'itatu nijoro arambwira ati byuka, ntabwo hano uzahakirira, atabandi nimo kumva ko bajya Kabgayi, erekeza ya Kabgayi.
So things were really tough, and I approached a man that I was friends with, and he hid me for 3 days, but then he said, you're not going to survive here, you should go to the Kabgayi diocese.
Ariko ubwo Nyabikenke abari abatutsi bari bashize burundu. Ndagenda rero ntangira urugendo, mubaza inzira ndi buce, yandi kumwe n'umusore umwe mubyara wanjye, arambwira ati mutegereze mugende nijoro, ndabwira isaha mugendera, abicanye babananiwe, araturangira tugera i Kabgayi.
So I was with my cousin, and when we asked this man for directions to get to the diocese headquarters, he told us to wait and go at night, and then he gave us directions all the way to the diocese headquarters.
Turagenda tugana i Kabgayi, ariko mwumve ko Nyabikenke icyo gihe byari byacitse, utekereze ko wari umuntu w'umusazi witwa Birikunzira, wagiye akajya kuri Nyabarongo akareba ukuntu baroha abantu bishyuye amafaranga, arazabwira umuntu bari baturanye ati siriya, ati nta bwenge bw'ubwigana, atubonye ibintu mwene Rugangura akoreye kuri Nyabarongo ntiwazajyana umwana wawe mu ishuri. Umva ibintu minisitiri wari ufite masters zirenga 6 yakuye mu Bufaransa akagawa n'umuntu urwaye mu mutwe, mutekereze ibyo bikorwa yakoze uko byangana.
So to tell you how things were really extremely bad, and Tutsis had been exterminated in the area. There was one mentally unstable person who went to the river, observed what was going on, and came back to tell someone else, you know, there's no smartness from school. Like, these educated people are nothing. How can this minister do what I saw after all the masters he had? So the minister had 6 master's degrees earned from studying in France.
ubwo rero tujya Kabgayi ntahingukira ahitwa mu by'Imana mu cya kabiri igitarama mpasanga umusirikare witwa Shitani niko yitwaga, ambaza ibyangombwa ndabibura, urumva ntabwo nari kwerekana irangamuntu irimo umututsi. Binyobeye ngira amahirwe mbona hari imodoka ivuye i Kigali, ajya mu byo kuyisahura, ncaho ndirukanka nkomezi ya Kabgayi.
At the place called Muchakabiri, I encountered a soldier who asked me for my identification. The soldier was actually named Satan, like the devil. And he asked for my identification. Obviously, I would not have given him one because that was a reason for me to be killed. And luckily for me, he turned around when he saw a vehicle coming from Kigali and went to loot the vehicle. So that's how I escaped him.
Kabgayi nagiye mba muri seminari ntoya, nahabaye nk'ukwezi n'igice iyo mbaze iminsi ku wundi, ariko nge numva narahabaye nk'imyaka nk'itatu. Twagezeyo duhura n'ingorane, nubwo twari duhunze duhigwa nk'abatutsi, ariko twahasanze izindi mpunzi zo zidahigwa zahunze amasasu mu Nyacyonga na Kigali nyirizina, nazo zibaho ngaho turabana muri iyo minsi yose.
So I spent a month and a half, when I estimate how long, but for me it feels like 3 years. We were staying with people who were displaced, not for the same reason as us, but because they fled from the war that was going on in other areas of the country.
Kabgayi habereye ibikorwa byinshi bibi cyane. Gusa nta muntu ugeze apfira aho mu isominari barabasohoraga bakabatwara. Ariko ukurikije uko undeba gutya cyangwa mu ndeba n'iyi nzobe yanjye, mutekereza uko yaba yari imeze mu myaka nka 23 Kabgayi nari meze nk'inkoko y'umweru, icyabaga cyose cyangeragaho ntawe ncagaho.
It was easy to single me out for my skin color among the many people who were staying there. So instead of killing people at the same place, they were being selected to be killed outside, and every single moment killers came, they would identify me among others for my skin.
Kubw'igihe gito sindi buze kujya mu bikorwa byose nakorewe aho ngaho Kabgayi, ahubwo ndaza gusoza ni byinshi. Hari aho bampakiye imodoka bankuramo, hari aho banyohereje kuvoma ngo banyicireyo birananirana, ni byinshi cyane mbigiyemo ntabwo twaza gusoza kubw'igihe dufite hano n'ikirere kandi. Ariko twagize amahirwe ku itariki ya 2 z'ukwa gatandatu turahumurizwa. Ingabo zari za FPR Inkotanyi ziraza ziradutabara, umugambi wo kuturangiza utari washyirwa mu bikorwa. Ngira ngo haburaga nk'umunsi umwe cyangwa ibiri.
I encountered so many atrocities I won't tell you here because it would take a long time. All like bringing me among others in a truck and me escaping from the rest of the people. So many things happened to me, but I will not go into the details. I will just say that on June the 2nd, we were lucky to have the RPF soldiers come to rescue us.
Kubera ko gahinda nari mpavanye, umutima wampatiye kwinjira mu gisirikare nanjye ngo mfashe ba ambasaderi Rutabana na ba Fane Emmanuel, kandi ndabikora. Ariko cyari kinjyanye ntabwo intego yanjye yari meze nk'iyabo. Gusa inyigisho nziza, umutima ukomeye, intego ufatika yari bazanye kubohora abanyarwanda, yatumye inyigisho nahavanye zitankurikiza ngo zijyane n'umutima nama nari mfite wo gushaka imbaraga zo kwihorera.
I realized I didn't want to do anything else after surviving but join the RPF, but for a different cause. I had my own purpose joining them. But thanks to the education, to the strength, to the hard commitment to the country, I was educated and changed my mind and fought for the same cause of liberating the country. I had to drop my own mission that had brought me to the army at that time.
Ndashima rero, ndashima ingabo z'inkotanyi, ngashima ku giti cyanjye uburyo zanyubatse mu mutwe ibyo natekerezaga zikabivanamo zikanshyiramo ibyo gukunda igihugu no kugikorera. Ndashima leta yagiyeho icyo gihe na n'ubu ikiriho ubumwe n'ubudaheranwa. Ngashima umuyobozi wayo afande, kuko kugeza ubu uburyo yadutabaye twumva yaraduhaye ubuzima bundi bushya. Niba bavuga ngo inkotanyi n'ubuzima burya ari cyo babivuze, kandi si twe twenyine, kuko nabo ngabo bicaga iyo baza kutabona inkotanyi ngo nazo zihagarika iyo jenoside, nabo ubu ngubu ngira ngo ntababa bagihari, bari kwicana ubwabo, bikaba byararangiye igihugu cyarabaye itongo.
A word of gratitude now. I thank the Rwandese Patriotic Army not only for saving our lives and our country, but especially for educating me and changing me. I was bitter, I was bad, I was feeling anger only, and they changed my heart, and I learned to love my country, to love my people, and fight for my country. I also thank the government of Rwanda and the leader, our leader, our president, for all they did. When I look back, they did not only save us, they gave us life. They gave us a new life.
Impamvu nshima rero Perezida wa Repubulika nuko na n'ubu yaduhaye ubwo buzima. Ushobora gukena cyangwa ugakira, ariko nibura ufite umutekano, ufite ituze. Ikindi nuko mu mvugo ze za buri gihe aduha icyizere ko tutazapfa bwa kabiri. Nubwo ingengabitekerezo yakomeje kuba nyinshi hano mu karere k'ibiyaga bigari, na n'ubu ikambuka ikajya iburengerazuba bw'u Rwanda, ikajya mu majyepfo y'u Rwanda, ariko turacyari ku cyizere cye, kuko aravuga ati muhumure ntimuzapfa kabiri. Ahubwo sinzi impamvu abandi batamufasha bikomeze irwanwe gutyo.
He did not only save the survivors, but he also saved the killers from killing, because at the end they would have killed each other amongst themselves. But I also thank him, our president of Rwanda, because he gives us a message of hope. And he continues to ensure and to assure us that we will not die another time. We died once, but we will not die, we'll be killed again. Despite the genocide ideology that continues to spread, he has made a commitment and stands strong on his commitment that we will not be killed again.
Kubw'igihe reka mbashimire, mbifurize gukomeza kwibuka mwiyubaka. Murakoze.
So for the time I had, I need to stop here, and I thank you very much for listening.
Event would like to call upon the Vice President of Humura. Humura is an umbrella organization of those who are laid to rest here, and many other homes. So I would like him to have a word.
Nyakubahwa mushyitsi mukuru, nyakubahwa High Commissioner w'u Rwanda mu gihugu cya Uganda, banyakubahwa High Commissioners, Ambassadors muhagarariye ibihugu byanyu, muri iki gihugu cya Uganda, nyakubahwa Visi Perezida wa Ibuka, Banyarwanda mwibumbiye muri kominote zitandukanye muri iki gihugu cya Uganda, bagenzi banjye twavanye mu Rwanda tuje kwibuka abacu, mbanje kubasuhuza. Ntago byoroshye kugira icyo umuntu avuga nyuma y'ubuhamya tumaze kumva, ariko ntago umuntu yabura icyo avuga kuri uyu munsi. Muri uyu mwaka u Rwanda n'isi yose turibuka ku nshuro ya 32 Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi mu Rwanda mu mwaka wa 1994, aho Abatutsi hishwe abarenga miliyoni. By'umwihariko muri iki gihugu cya Uganda turibuka ababyeyi, abavandimwe n'inshuti zacu bajugunywe mu nzuzi n'imigezi bitandukanye bakagera igihugu cya Uganda hano muri Lake Victoria. Tukaba twibuka abarenga 10,000 bashyinguye mu nzibutso 3, Lambu, Kansesero na hano ku rwibutso rwa Golo.
Guest of honor, distinguished guests, friends from Rwanda, it is hard to speak after the testimony of a survivor of the genocide against the Tutsi. But it's also important that we deliver this message. And here, especially, we are here to mourn for parents, siblings, children, and friends of our families, where we have more than 10,000 Tutsis buried on this land in Uganda, in the 3 memorial sites.
Ubuhamya nk'ubu tumaze kumva bugaragaza neza ko Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi yateguwe kandi igashyirwa mu bikorwa n'ubuyobozi bubi. Ikibabaje nuko abakoze Jenoside bagikomeza kubiba ingengabitekerezo yayo, cyane cyane mu karere igihugu cy'u Rwanda kirimo, bapfobya Jenoside bakoze ndetse bakagerageza no kuyihakana. Aha ni umwanya twebwe nk'abarokotse Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi mu Rwanda bibumbiye muri Humura Victoria warakoze, ni umwanya dusaba amahanga, imiryango mpuzamahanga, international community, biciye cyane cyane mu badiplomate, mu baambasaderi bahagarariye ibihugu byabo baba bari hano. Ni umwanya mwiza wo kubasaba ko ibihugu byabo cyangwa se iyo miryango mpuzamahanga twafatanya twese kugira ngo turandure iyo ngengabitekerezo ya Jenoside. Ni umwanya wo kugira ngo tubasabe dufatanye gukurikirana abakoze Jenoside bihishe hirya no hino kugira ngo bashyikirizwe inkiko, abarokotse Jenoside bahabwe ubutabera.
From the testimony we heard, it's obvious that the genocide against the Tutsis was planned and prepared before it was implemented. And today, we continue to see its ideology spread around the world, especially in the region where Rwanda is located. So this day is an opportunity for us to deplore what continues to spread and to say, let's all stand together and fight this ideology. In particular, we call upon the international community, the countries represented here, the organizations represented here, to please all stand up and fight the genocide ideology all together. And we call upon those countries that still host genocide perpetrators in their countries to bring them forward for justice.
Uyu kandi ni n'umwanya twebwe nka Humura Victoria warakoze dushimira mwebwe mwese muba mwaje kwifatanya natwe kugira ngo twibuke ababyeyi bacu bari hano, abavandimwe bacu bashyinguye hano. Ni umwanya mwiza wo kongera gushimira Mohamed Toban na timu ye washoboye kurohora imibiri y'abacu uyu munsi bakaba bashyinguye neza tubibuka. Ni umwanya wo gushimira ubuyobozi bwa ambasade y'u Rwanda buba bwateguye iki gikorwa ndetse n'ababigizemo uruhare bose. Tunashimira guverinoma ya Uganda ndetse n'abaturage bose batuye muri aka gace uruhare baba bagize cyangwa se bagize kugira ngo uyu munsi tube dushobora kwibuka, twibukira hano, twibuka abacu dufite umutekano n'umudendezo. Ngasoza shimira leta y'u Rwanda umwanya iba yaduhaye kugira ngo tuze duha agaciro abacu bashyinguye aha. By'umwihariko tugashimira nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame, we n'ingabo yari ayoboye bashoboye guhagarika Jenoside. Uyu munsi tukaba twararokotse ariko tunaha icyubahiro twibuka abacu. Nagira ngo nsoze mwese mbashimira, murakoze, dukomeze twibuke twiyubaka.
Today is finally the time to thank everyone. We thank all the countries represented here for accompanying us in the process of commemorating our families, our family members, our beloved ones. We thank the Embassy of Rwanda to Uganda for all the work they do to organize this commemoration event. We thank the government of Uganda for the endless support they give to us during this moment. We thank especially Mohamed Toban and his team for the work they did in receiving the bodies of our beloved ones and give them a place where they may rest in peace. And we want to thank the government of Rwanda for all the support they give to the genocide survivors when we schedule such commemoration of our beloved people. And finally, I thank you all for coming. Let's continue to remember, unite, and renew.
Very much, Humura team. Now, next, we're going to have a few remarks by the second national president for Ibuka. Ibuka is a national umbrella organization representing the survivors of 1994 genocide in Rwanda.
Honorable guest of honor, Your Excellency High Commissioner of the Republic of Rwanda, high commissioners representing their country here in Uganda, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, Dean of Diplomatico, President of Humura, Victoria Warakoze, survivors and friends of Rwanda, I send a warm greetings and condolences. Honorable guest of honor, allow me firstly to introduce my speech in Kinyarwanda, and then I'll come back in English. Babyeyi beza, abarokotse Jenoside, umuryango Yibuka urabakomeza kandi tubifuriza gukomera muri ibi bihe bitoroshye byo kubura abacu. Urugendo bakoze bagana hano ntago rwari rworoshye, ariko twongera kubazirikana kugira tubasubize agaciro bambuwe. Tuzirikana ubunyamaswa bicanywe ndetse n'ubugome, aho tubona ko Jenoside yari yarateguwe. Turi kumwe namwe kandi twizera tudashidikanya ko igihugu cyacu cyiza cya leta y'ubumwe bw'abanyarwanda gikomeza kudufata mu mugongo, natwe tutazigera tugitenguha. Nshimire na Humura Victoria Warakoze ku gutegura kino gikorwa cyo kuza kwibuka. Munyemerere abegeranye baze gufatanya, nagira ngo ubutumwa mbutange muri rw'icyongereza kuko abenshi turi hano kugira ngo tuze kubwumva, hanyuma nze gusorezaho mbashimira. Today we gather in solemn remembrance of the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. On this 32-second commemoration, we honor more than 1 million lives that were lost in just 100 days. Lives taken by hatred, division, and indifference. So the pain for the survivors, where they tell each other, go, and when God protects you, we will see each other again. And then they never see their loved ones, and then we see them burying here. That's the pain the survivors had nowadays. As the years pass, the descendants of genocide survivors also they increasingly struggle with the quiet loneliness of longing for relatives they never met or never even got the chance to be born. Today we are thinking of them. Our tears flow inward, but we carry on as a family. When the survivors share their testimonies like this we heard from our survivor, it's not to repeat what was happened. It's a proof that we still dwell on the past. It's not the proof that we still dwell in the past. We do it as educating the youth and even the future generations so that they can understand the dark times our country went through, and to affirm that the genocide should never happen again, and to make sure our children will understand what we mean. Every testimony ends with Nuko Inkotanyi ziraza. So from Inkotanyi, there is a hope to the survivor. So we thank you, Inkotanyi. So to all survivors, I can conclude for knowing that you are not alone. We stand with you always. Everything you have achieved was only possible because all Rwandans decided to join hands in a common purpose. So, Kwibuka, it's not only about remembering, it's about running, uniting, and renewing our commitment to ensure that such a tragedy never happens again. It's a time to reflect on the resilience of survivors and the responsibility we all carry to protect the truth, humanity, and dignity. So Ibuka is a genocide survivors organization. We would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Embassy of Rwanda in Uganda for organizing and preparing this meaningful event. Your continued commitment to remembrance and unity strengthened the bond among Rwandans and friends of Rwanda here and beyond. I would also like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Uganda. We appreciate this country and the government of Uganda for also helping the survivors and the Rwandans in general for commemorating genocide against the Tutsi, so that they can know deniers who will be achieving what their mission for denying genocide against the Tutsi. And in Ibuka, we also pay a special tribute to Mohamed Toban. Mohamed Toban, his courage and humanity shone in one of the darkest times in history by taking the initiative to bury the bodies of victims with dignity. He restored humanity where it had been stripped away. Today, he is Umurinzi w'Igihango in Rwanda, as he stands as a symbol of courage, compassion, and the responsibility to protect memory and truth. Our journey had been long and tough. Rwanda was completely humbled by the magnitude of our loss, and the lessons we learned are engraved in blood. But the tremendous progress of our country is plain to see, and it is the result of the choices we made together to reselect our nation. The foundation of everything is unity. That was the first choice, to believe in the idea of reunited Rwanda and live accordingly. As we reflect on our past, we must also remain vigilant about our present and future. The ideology that led to the genocide did not begin overnight. The ideology that led to the genocide did not also begin by the crash of the plane of Habyarimana. It was built through years of hate speech, division, dehumanization, and even today, we still witness similar dangerous narratives in some of our region and beyond. So, most importantly, we choose to think beyond the horizon of tragedy and become a people with a future. Hate speech, discrimination, and division also continue to rise, and reminding us that the genocide ideology is not a thing of the past. It evolves and hides in words, in media, and in silence. We have seen it on social media. A lot of people write hate speech. This is why remembrance must go hand in hand with action. We must challenge hate wherever it appears. We must educate the younger generation, especially those who were not born during the genocide, so that they understand not only what happened, but why it must never happen again. And I call upon to the international community also to join hands together with us to fight against the hate speech and the discrimination which has been spread in our great region. So let us be the generation that speaks truth. Let's break the silence, and let us be the generation that chooses unity. Let us be the guardians of the memory and humanity. As we light the flame of remembrance, may it guide us toward a future built on dignity, resilience, and hope. Remember, unite in you. Never again. Murakoze.
Now, I have the pleasure to welcome the Ambassador of Rwanda, His Excellency Joseph Rutabana, to come and offer his remarks, and also request him to introduce and welcome our guest of honor once he's done. Thank you.
Thank you. Our guest of honor, Honorable Alice Kaboyo, Minister of State for Rural Triangle and Rwenzori region, Your Excellency, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps and Ambassador of Eritrea to Uganda, His Excellency Mohamed Sulaiman Ahmed, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors, high commissioners, and heads of international organizations, Mr. Blaise Ndizihiwe, Ibuka Second Vice President, Mr. Jean Bosco Nubumwe, President of Humura Association, the religious leaders, Mr. Mohamed Tobani and the Four Ways Group of Companies team, the local communities, leaders and members of the community. Among the diplomats, I also recognize a number of defense attachés. Last but not least, our brothers and sisters who came from Rwanda, who are members of Humura Association. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, or good afternoon, rather. Let me start by thanking you for joining us at this 32nd commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi that took place in Rwanda. The High Commission, once again, is pleased of the presence of members of Humura, which is an association of genocide survivors whose relatives, victims of the genocide, are believed to be buried here. That's why you see a lot of emotions whenever they come here. Most of them believe the people they lost are buried here. We also recognize the presence of the second vice president of Ibuka, which is an umbrella organization representing survivors of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Mwakoze cyane kandi mukomere. Before I start my remarks, allow me first to introduce, I think this one I'm going to skip because of time. I recognize all of you, my colleagues who are here. I had planned to introduce each of you, but to save time, let me recognize all of you. Thank you very much for coming in big numbers early in the morning. With the rain, we really recognize your presence. Thank you very much. Our guest of honor, the commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda is an annual event and spreads to 100 days. It is commonly referred to as Kwibuka. As you see everywhere here, we put Kwibuka. It is a Kinyarwanda word for remembrance and is an opportunity to pay tribute to the victims of the genocide. In his speech on Tuesday, which was a national commemoration, His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, said, and I quote, "Kwibuka carries profound meaning for our nation. It is how we confront and overcome the divisions that nearly destroyed us. This day empowers us all. We draw on the strength of survivors who provide the reservoir of humanity that feeds our nation's soul." End of the quote. The theme for this year is Remember, Unite, Renew. We remember so that memory is kept for future generations. We unite because unity of Rwandans is and always be our guide and priority. We renew because resilience but not despair by survivors of the genocide and the whole nation have been a key factor for renewing lives. We call it in Kinyarwanda, kwiyubaka. Distinguished guests, 32 years ago, the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda took place. This was a carefully orchestrated plan of destruction which unfolded over several decades. It was not a spontaneous eruption of violence, but rather accumulation of years of division and discrimination that took root from colonial policies of divide and rule and pursued by repressive post-colonial regimes. Indeed, long before 1994, Tutsis were subjected to repeated pogroms, exclusion, and persecution. Many were forced into exile, mostly in neighboring countries, including Uganda. An apartheid-like system took root, codifying ethnicity and normalizing hatred. Then, in April 1994, following the plane crash of President Juvenal Habyarimana and his subsequent demise, the machinery of extermination was activated by the extremist Hutu power acolytes, who had planned it long before. Roadblocks appeared overnight. Militias armed mostly with machetes and crude weapons moved with chilling efficiency. Lists of names of Tutsis to be killed had been prepared in advance and even broadcast in the hate media like the incendiary Radio-Télévision des Mille Collines, RTLM. Neighbors attacked neighbors, and families were hunted like wild animals. Children were not spared, and in just 100 days, more than 1 million people were killed in the fastest genocide in recorded history. This represented 1 in every 7 Rwandans. Let me quote His Excellency, the President's speech once again. Militias were openly trained and indoctrinated in hate. Weapons were imported in large quantities, and Rwandans who opposed it were threatened or killed. Before 1994, communities were subjected to waves of smaller massacres meant to normalize the killing and also to measure the reaction of the wider world. End of the quote. Let us reflect a little bit on this chilling reality. An entire nation shattered in a matter of weeks, lives erased, communities destroyed, humanity tested at its very core. And yet, even as the killings unfolded in plain sight, they were denied, they were minimized, they were mischaracterized into semantics as chaos, as conflict, as anything but what they were, a genocide. One of the architects of this genocide, Colonel Theoneste Bagosora, actually he was mentioned by the survivor that his wife was a native of where he comes from. So one of the architects of the genocide, Colonel Theoneste Bagosora, had actually announced that he is going back home to prepare, and I quote, he said, "I'm going back home to prepare the apocalypse." He said it leaving Arusha, where peace talks between RPF and the government were taking place. That was the first warning, not the first, but one of the strong warnings. In his inflammatory speech, Leon Mugesera, who was again quoted by the survivor, in his inflammatory speech, Leon Mugesera, considered to be one of the well-educated intellectuals at that time, addressing a rally, he said, I quote, "Tutsis should be sent back where they came from. He mentioned Ethiopia, Abyssinia, through River Nyabarongo, which is a shortcut. Imagine what we are seeing here had been already warned. He said he was an intellectual, he had studied in Canada, and he said that the Tutsis should be sent back to Abyssinia or Ethiopia through River Nyabarongo. So what we are seeing here was already known. Fortunately, he was later deported from Canada, because after the genocide he fled back to Canada, but he was deported and judged in Rwanda. He's now serving his sentence in prison in Rwanda. So the international community, despite warnings and clear evidence, failed to act. It failed to name the crime. It failed to stop it. History will forever bear witness to that failure. It should be reminded here that in international law, genocide is among the gravest of crimes. It is defined not only by acts of violence, but by intent. It is the deliberate, systematic attempt to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. Our guest of honor, one of the horrible methods used by perpetrators was throwing victims into rivers, because they had been taught by people like Mugesera. So they would throw them dead or alive. Those rivers, Nyabarongo and Yakagera, are tributaries of Lake Victoria. So within weeks, thousands of bodies were driven by the current of these rivers into Lake Victoria. These were unprecedented and terrifying scenes for the people living here on the shores of Lake Victoria. The chairman, LC1, told us that he was only in P6, but he remembers this. So this was really a shock when actually they realized that those were human bodies floating on the shores of the lake. Honorable Minister, I was told by Mr. Tobani, that people even stopped eating fish for some time because of this. I take this opportunity to thank the government and the people of Uganda for showing the sense of humanity, empathy, and solidarity by retrieving all these bodies you see here from the lake and accorded them decent burial here and in other 2 sites. Indeed, if it were not for the local communities here, especially Mr. Mohamud Tobani, who together with some international humanitarian organizations, mainly USAID, and local leaders, took it upon themselves to collect the bodies and bury them, we would not be here today to commemorate. Mr. Tobani, we talked about him when we are commemorating 30 years. He is a recipient of an award, a medal called Gihugu, Umurinzi w'Igihango, as Humura's chairman mentioned. This is normally a medal which is given to people who managed to save those Tutsis who are being hunted. So, Mr. Tobani, once again, you are no longer, you have become our brother, our partner, and your team. Whatever we do here, whatever you see here, we do it in partnership with Mr. Tobani. We don't do it alone. He's part of us. Thank you very much. As it has been mentioned, we have I will say it again, we have 3 memorial sites. Kasensero, that's where Kagera comes into Victoria, in Rakai. We have Lambu in Masaka, and we have this one in Goro. I'm not going to repeat the numbers again. You have them in your booklet, and they have been mentioned. But in total, we have 10,983, victims of the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda buried in Uganda. And as the LC1 said, this is becoming really a tourist attraction. We know this is not the intention, but people come here to see what happened in Rwanda. So with the ongoing project of UPDF having the museum just at the entrance here, and also, as it was mentioned, we have a big space which again was donated by Mr. Tobani here. We have a project which is a little bit overdue to have a museum. So, Mr. Chairman, LC1, we know we have promised some of the developments. I was talking to the minister that really this road has to be a bit improved. But with all those developments, we hope to achieve something. Again, in his speech, the president reminded us, sorry a little bit, I was still explaining this, but before I said, this unprecedented carnage, which you have been witnessing, was stopped in July 1994 by the Rwandese Patriotic Front, RPF in Hotanyi, which has been mentioned by all the survivors, and it was led by His Excellency Paul Kagame, our current president. Again, in his speech on Tuesday, he reminded us that, I quote, "And so it had to be the Rwandan Patriotic Army that led the campaign against genocide and ended it. Our deepest source of grief was always that we could not arrive earlier," end of quote. RPF tried, but they did not arrive earlier to save many people, but at least they saved a few they could. So in the aftermath of this mayhem, Rwanda stood at the edge of an ABC. Our country was devastated. Our people were traumatized, and institutions had completely collapsed. Trust had been entirely destroyed. At that defining moment, Rwanda faced a fundamental choice: to pursue revenge or to choose a different path. Our leaders, guided by the resilience of our people and the lessons of our history, chose unity, reconciliation, and national building. If you followed well Mr. Kazungu testifying, he said that when he survived, he joined the RPF. But he joined it, he was mentioning my name and my defense attaché, that we had a different objective. For us, we wanted to liberate the country. For him, he wanted to revenge because they had finished all his people. But because of the teachings, good teachings, and good education he got from our leadership, he changed, and his ideas of revenge were stopped. So we thank him for that, and many survivors, that's how they managed to survive up to now with no spirit of hatred. On July 19th, 1994, the government of national unity was established, bringing together a coalition of political forces under a shared vision to rebuild Rwanda as one nation. The challenges were immense. How do you restore trust among people who have experienced such profound violence? How do you deliver justice while fostering reconciliation? How do you rebuild a country made up of the wounded, the bereaved, and the displaced? The answer lay in strong political will, inclusive governance, and homegrown solutions rooted in our culture. From the very beginning, steps were taken to restore unity. ethnic identity cards were abolished. The narrative of division was rejected. Rwandans were encouraged to see themselves not as separate groups, but as one people. In an extraordinary act of rebuilding, former soldiers, les forces armées rwandaises, FAR, were integrated into the new national army alongside the forces that had stopped the genocide, the Rwandan Patriotic Army. This was not just a security measure. It was a powerful statement of reconciliation and shared future. Millions of refugees returned home. Internally displaced persons were resettled. Security was restored, despite continued threats from genocidal forces operating beyond our borders. At the same time, the government initiated nationwide consultations at the grassroots and national levels, bringing citizens together to reflect on the past and to define a collective vision for the future. This process led to the establishment of the National Unity and Reconciliation Commission in 1999, tasked with fostering dialogue, healing, and social cohesion. Today, we have a full Ministry of National Unity and Civic Engagement. Justice, too, had to be reimagined. Conventional systems alone could not handle the scale of crimes committed. In response, Rwanda revived a traditional mechanism, Gacaca courts. Established in 2002, Gacaca was a community-based justice system that allowed truth-telling, accountability, and reconciliation to take place at the local level. The Gacaca process documented the cause of the genocide in every single village and neighboring in Rwanda. Over 50 million handwritten pages were produced during the 10 years of Gacaca. Over a decade, more than 2 million cases were tried. Perpetrators confessed, survivors spoke, and communities began the long process of healing. Unity and reconciliation were further enshrined in Rwanda's 2003 constitution, which emphasizes inclusiveness, power sharing, and the constant pursuit of solutions through dialogue and consensus. Today, Rwanda stands as a testament to what is possible when a nation chooses to confront its past with honesty and courage. Excellencies, distinguished guests, despite this progress, negative forces that led to the genocide against the Tutsi have not disappeared. Genocide ideology, denial, and negationism continue to spread, sometimes openly, sometimes subtly, across regions and continents. We are living in a time when genocide ideology, denial, and distortion are not only persisting but evolving. They are spreading across borders with alarming speed, amplified by digital platforms and emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence. These tools, while powerful for progress, are also being misused to manipulate narratives, fuel division, and obscure truth. This makes our collective responsibility to remember, to educate, and to act more urgent than ever before. In our neighborhood, particularly in the Great Lakes region, these dangerous narratives are continuing to are contributing to ongoing instability. In Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, extremist ideologies targeting Tutsi communities continue to fuel violence and displacement. We must be clear. Silence in the face of such warning signs is complicity. We have seen before where denial and indifference can lead. We cannot afford, as an international community, to repeat the mistakes of 1994. This also extends beyond our region. In various parts of the world, including in some Western capitals, genocide denial and distortion are finding new platforms. Stronger legal frameworks, better education, and greater accountability are needed to confront these trends. Let me end my remarks by reiterating our gratitude for the government of Uganda and all of you who came to be with us during this commemoration. I thank you all for your kind attention. Mwebale nnyo, mwebale ddala abeegolo. Asanteni sana, mwakoze cyane. May God bless you. Before I call the guest of honor, let me just in 1 second address those who came from Rwanda, in Kinyarwanda. Bavandimwe mwavuye i Rwanda bahumura, navuze mu Cyongereza kubera yuko abo tuba twatumiye batumva Ikinyarwanda. Ndahamya ko benshi muri mwebwe mwabyumvise, n'ubutabyumvise neza mugenzi we yamusobanurira, ariko turabashima cyane iki gikorwa mukora buri mwaka, mukaza muri benshi, mukazana urubyiruko. Birashimishije kubona no mu bayobozi nkayibuka bafitemo abasore cyangwa abagabo bakiri bato nka Blaise. Ni iby'agaciro. Rero turaza kongera tuganire nyuma. Reka manze mpamagare umushyitsi mukuru aze atugezeho ijambo.
Your Excellency Colonel Joseph Rutabana, High Commissioner of the Republic of Rwanda to Uganda, the Dean of Diplomatic Corps, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Vice President of Bibutse, the representative of Humura, the Rwandan community that came from Rwanda, and those that live here, the community of Golo, Mzee Tobani and your family, ladies and gentlemen. Today we stand together not only in remembrance, but in unity, reflection, and renewed responsibility as we commemorate the 32nd anniversary of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, Kwibuka, the 32nd Kwibuka, under the theme, Remember, Unite, Renew. This is a moment to honor the memory of the victims, to stand in solidarity with survivors, and to reaffirm our shared commitment to ensuring that such atrocities never happen again anywhere in the world. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, 32 years ago, humanity witnessed one of the most horrific tragedies of the 20th century. In a span of just 100 days, more than 1 million innocent lives were brutally taken, men, women, and children targeted solely because of who they were. The genocide against Tutsi was marked by unimaginable cruelty. Communities were shattered, families torn apart, and the very fabric of society was destroyed. What occurred in Rwanda was not just a national tragedy, but a failure to humanity as a whole. Today, as we gather in this remembrance, we honor the victims whose lives were cruelly cut short, and we acknowledge the enduring pain carried by survivors. For many, the memories of the dark period remain vivid. memories of loss, fear, displacement, and resilience in the face of unspeakable horror. Kwibuka is therefore more than a commemoration. It is a call to conscience, a reminder of our shared humanity, and a commitment to vigilance. Colleagues and friends, this commemoration speaks not only to Rwanda, but to all nations and all peoples. It calls upon all of us as Africans and members of the global community to reaffirm our unwavering commitment to the prevention of genocide and mass atrocities. The lessons of 1994 remain deeply relevant today across the world. We continue to witness rising intolerance, identity-based conflicts, hate speech, and violent extremism. The speed of misinformation and disinformation, especially through digital platforms, has further amplified division and mistrust. Institutions such as the United Nations continue to emphasize the urgent need for early warning systems, preventive diplomacy, and accountability mechanisms. Likewise, UNESCO has reinforced the importance of remembrance, education, and preservation of historic truth. The recognition of Rwanda's genocide memorial sites as World Heritage Sites continue to ensure that the memory of the genocide is preserved for future generations. These sites stand as powerful reminders of the sequences of hatred and the importance of collective memory. In Uganda, memorial sites at Lambu, Kasensero, and Gorohia continue to serve as places of reflection and education, underscoring the regional dimension of this tragedy and our shared responsibility to remember. Ladies and gentlemen, amidst the tragedy, Rwanda's journey since 1994 stands as a powerful testament to resilience, unity, and the human capacity to renew through deliberate and inclusive efforts. Rwanda has rebuilt itself into a nation characterized by stability, progress, and social cohesion. The process of reconciliation, anchored in truth-telling, justice, and forgiveness, has been central to this transformation. Community-based approaches, including the Gacaca system, enabled the accountability while fostering dialogue and healing. Survivors have demonstrated extraordinary courage, as many have chosen the path of forgiveness, laying the foundation for unified and forward-looking society. Today, Rwanda transformation continues to inspire the region and the world. It reminds us that even in the aftermath of such profound tragedy, it is possible to rebuild, reconcile, and thrive. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the past, we must also confront the challenges of the present. Genocide does not begin with violence, but ideas. It begins with division, exclusion, and the gradual dehumanization of others. The rise of hate speech, genocide denial, and historical divisionism, particularly in the digital age, poses a serious threat to peace and stability. The speed and scale at which harmful narratives can spread today require us to be more vigilant than ever before. Governments, civil society, media, and the technology platforms must work together to counter misinformation and promote responsible discourse. We must therefore firmly reject all forms of discrimination, racism, and xenophobia. We must speak out against injustice wherever it occurs and address the root cause of conflict, i.e. inequality, marginalization, and political exclusion. Remember, unite, renew must be more than a slogan. It must be a guiding principle for action. Your Excellencies and distinguished guests, legal and institutional frameworks remain essential in preventing and responding to genocide. Instruments such as the Convention of the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights provide the foundation for accountability and justice. However, laws alone are not enough. Education is equally critical. We must therefore ensure that future generations understand the causes, consequences, and lessons of genocide. Integrating this history into educational curricula will help build societies that are informed, empathetic, and resilient against divisive ideologies. Education must promote critical thinking, respect for diversity, and a shared sense of humanity. Excellencies and distinguished guests, Uganda and Rwanda share deep historical, cultural, and geographical ties. Our relationship is rooted in friendship, cooperation, and shared vision for peace and prosperity. Both our countries continue to work closely through regional and continental frameworks such as the East African Community, the African Union, the Common Market for East Africa and Southern Africa, and the International Conference on the Great Lakes region. In recent years, Uganda and Rwanda have continued to strengthen bilateral relations through dialogue, cooperation, and mutual truth. Engagements such as the forthcoming Joint Permanent Commission that is taking place from the 20th to the 22nd of this month, this year, help to advance collaboration in key sectors, contributing to stability and shared prosperity. Uganda remains committed to deepening this partnership and working closely with Rwanda and other neighbors to build a peaceful and prosperous region. Your Excellencies, the late Kofi Annan once said, genocide begins with the killing of one man, just like the survivor told us, not for what he has done, but because of who he is. We should therefore aspire to work together to build societies where diversity is celebrated and where every individual is treated with dignity. In conclusion, allow me on behalf of the government and the people of Uganda to wish good health to His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, and express our deepest solidarity with the people of Rwanda in the pursuit for peace and prosperity. Thank you very much. I tried to speak Kinyarwanda, but I think I have failed. Let me talk to my LC1 who gave a wonderful speech here. Murakoze, it is Murakoze, yes. Sebo safunye erinnya lyo naye gwe LC1 gwe njagala okwogera naawe. Webale bye wayogedde wano bibadde bulungi nnyo ate byakujjukiza gavumenti okubalowoozaako ab'eggolo musobole okuyingiza obulungi mu maka gammwe kubanga gavumenti kyeriko ennyo naye okwokuvuba fishing, you are the ones who are fishing badly, so tujja kujja twogere. Oluguudo tugenda kulukolako. I have already organized with His Excellency the Ambassador of Rwanda to Uganda. We are going to make sure that we get at least a first-class tarmac, maram here to begin with as we plan for tarmac later. And I want to also take this opportunity to thank Mzee Tobani for what you did for humanity. Thank you very much. I happen to come to represent, to be in charge of Ruwero and Rwenzori, and we have, you know, just like I said before, we have the similar history with Rwanda a lot. Genocide also happened in Ruwero when Obote's government decided to massacre everyone, all families who were suspected to support the war that was going on there. We have 33 such mass graves scattered around Ruwero and Rwenzori. So I do understand what this means to Rwanda and to this region, because we have suffered, but really we should never suffer again like that, and we should work together to make sure that our young ones never see or get to experience what we have experienced in our lifetime. I thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, your presence and kind words offer a great sense of comfort. As we come to a close of our event here, we're going to have a group photo, but then we will proceed to the shores of Lake Victoria, where we will pay tribute to the place that came firsthand in touch with the real grief and pain that our people went through during that time when they were being dumped, dead or alive, in the waters. So we usually go there and lay our wreath there as we remember that particular moment. So we will invite the following people for the group photo. Then after, we'll be proceeding. And that's where we're going to have lunch from. We will invite the following people for our group photo. Excellency the High Commissioner of Rwanda to Uganda and Madam, our guest of honor, the Dean of Diplomatic Corps and all the diplomats, together with Ibuka and Humura representative.
Twibuka umunsi wanze kwira, twibuka ijoro ryanze gutana, ijosi ryibasiwe bitavugwa, igihugu cyuzuye imiborogo. Twibuke byari bitavugika, umuntu arengwa n'ibyo areba, nta murengezi abona n'umwe, hirya bicanwa n'uwabahishe, uhendahenda ngo mwicwe vuba. Twarabakundaga turababura, ikibi cyanyu tuzacyusa, bana b'u Rwanda tuzahora iteka turibuka. Mwarahizwe bimwe by'inkware, mwazize ubwoko mutahanze, akarere ishyaka cyangwa isura, hari n'aba